Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Craig Peters here from Soundiron, and in today's Soundiron session, we're going to be doing another in the style of, except this time we're going to be doing a track in the style of Interstellar. So this was a demo that I wrote for Alpha Organ, which we recently came out with, and it has its, of course, traditional organ sounds, but there's a lot of cool sound design stuff too. So I thought it'd be really cool to sort of combine that sort of spacey kind of atmospheric sound with some of those more traditional organ sounds. One of the things that I really loved about the Interstellar soundtrack is how simplistic it is, but when you watch it to picture and the way that Hans Zimmer, had the music build and really sort of create this intense thing with these really simplistic and just like adding a lot of little instrumentation and using organic sounds, but at the same time a lot of synthy and kind of atmospheric pads and stuff too. So let's just go ahead and check out the track and then we'll start breaking it down and I'll show you guys what I did. All right, so that's the track, and so let's go ahead and start breaking it down. So one of the first things I did with this track is I wanted it to start off very simple. Like I said, with the, my interpretation of the Interstellar score, it's got a lot of building and adding instruments and that sort of thing. So I wanted to start it off with some kind of pulse, and I thought piano would be cool. So the very first thing you hear is just piano. Just playing off F. A lot of the stuff is based off of F because it goes from F minor to D sharp major to C sharp major and then back. And I love this kind of stuff because it's very simple, but at the same time, it's very like emotionally powerful, I think. Especially because I'm just using, this is all based off of A flat major, I believe. So you have these three notes, F, G, and then G sharp. And then you got, so even if you just play that, whoop, wrong chord. So that's just kind of playing around with it a little bit. It's just a really nice key and scale. I think it's really cool to write too. I've been trying to sort of play around with some different scales and stuff to switch it up, and that was one that I picked. And that's one of the first little things that I wrote playing around with it. So it's one thing, tip. If any of you guys are getting stuck in ruts, just learn a different scale and learn a different key, something you don't normally do, and more than likely you'll probably get inspired to write. And then the next thing that we add is this alpha organ layered sound. Well, actually, there's a few different things that get added, but this is just an ambience. And then we also have this low hit sound from Glitch Hero. Let's just go ahead and solo this for you. And it's just this kind of low subby thing. And then after that, we have this violin. And this is from Hyperion Strings Elements. And it's just using the swell 4-count articulations. And I really like this because it's naturally recorded swells. But when you just play like a single note, you know, it's one less thing you have to do with the mod wheel, and it's actually real players doing these swells. So you get these. I really like that. So it just starts off with just a violin, you know, playing one note, just that. So you have the layered sound going, you have those low subby hits, just for kind of introducing some low weight to it, kind of that dramatic sound. And then right here we start to introduce this other ambience. And this is from Alpha Organ too. A lot of really cool ambiences in this library. This one's called Night Things. And then right here at bar 12, we start to introduce another sound from Alpha Organ, and this one is called Glorious. This is the patch. Just using those chords and those 3 notes that I was telling you. And then I'm also processing it too. I got some reverb and I got some filtering going on. And this is just to kind of hollow it out. So like if you were to bypass this, it sounds very... But I didn't want it to be so bright and in the mix, so I went and added some filtering, just low and high pass, scooping out some of the mids so it sounds a little bit more distant, a little bit more further away, kind of add to that spacey vibe. And then we start to add some more sounds or some more instruments from Hyperion Strings Elements around bar 8. And we start to introduce the violas, and these are just kind of playing off some of the notes of the chord. So I'm gonna go ahead and play just those two, I'll solo them. I believe this is just going from like the root and the 5th. So you hear they're both playing the same and then harmonizes it. And then we got the cellos coming in. So I wanted it to kind of more and more as the track goes on, more sort of low-end instruments are introduced to really kind of have that low-end drama to it. And then we got the basses. So it's really getting that tension. And then there's this other little sound, if you can hear it, or if you notice it, I thought it was pretty cool. I think I was kind of channeling my inner like planet Earth, you know, like if you've ever watched that show, you hear that sometimes you hear these little like woodwind, you know, little runs and stuff, and I threw a bunch of delay on it, and I thought it sounded cool, so I'll actually solo just that so you can hear it. Just sounds like this little something off in the distance, kind of to try and intrigue you a little bit, you know, catch your ear a little bit. So when you hear it in the context of everything, so let me go ahead and go back. You hear it kind of sort of like, what is that? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. So, you know, stuff like that, just like try to throw in little ear candy and stuff to kind of fit the atmosphere. And then as we go down more, there's some other instrumentation. So we start to introduce another sound from alpha organ, and this is the triumph sound. And this one has a very sort of bigger sound to it, especially when you play it in the higher. And I wanted these notes to play a little bit more double time, so it's kind of against the original part. So you have this sound, and then you kind of playing off of it. It's in a higher register and playing off of it. And this is just, like I said, for tension purposes, for sort of adding more instrumentation and just building it a little bit more with, adding a little bit more faster melodic lines. And then the piano is still going, just kind of supplying that sort of very simple reverby sound and just kind of playing off. And then after that, down here, we got some brass. And this is just using the Symphony Series brass ensemble. And I didn't really feel like taking every instrument from the brass family, like the horns and everything, and like orchestrating it all individually. This was just more of like supplying that kind of that low end warmth from the brass and just sort of laying in the chords underneath it, just for adding another organic instrument, but supplying some more low end. And this is how this sounds by itself. This is just with some little swells. And then in context. In the mix, you can't really hear it as much, but it's more of like another texture adding to it. And then to let it like slightly crescendo and then end with the piano and just that ambience. And that's it. All right, so that pretty much wraps it up for this Soundiron session. If any of you guys want to learn about the libraries that I used in this track, definitely go to soundiron.com to learn more. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Like the video if you dig it, and subscribe if you haven't. So until next time, I want to thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.